we're looking at your prescription, the immediate goal is for you to get to homeostasis, because clearly you're still dealing with effects, right? And so because your body has created adaptations to every single thing you've been through, it is going to continue to fight creating change, right? Because remember, right now, there's no baseline. Your body's like, I've been fucked for like 6 years, basically, right? Like that's how your body is perceiving it. It's like, I've been under attack for the better part of 6 years. And after 6 years, it's like, well, now you want me to fucking lose fat? Which, by the way, remember, our bodies are meant to survive. Fat loss is an adaptation to living in a deficit, right? So we intentionally impose a caloric deficit. When we're in that deficit, it teaches our body to oxidize fat as fuel, and that's ultimately how we facilitate fat loss. Well, your body's not going to do that, because it's like, well, I need all the insulation and protection around the shitstorm that it's inevitably coming, because you've taught your body for the better part of 6 or 7 years that there's a shitstorm coming every single day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the All In Podcast. We have a special edition for you today. Guys, I had this crazy idea. I get asked all the time nutrition questions, and unfortunately my answer is almost always it depends. And so instead of trying to put you guys in situations where I repeatedly have to tell you it depends and explain all the possible scenarios, I thought it would be cool to bring on real life guests to, completely blindside me and let you be a fly on the wall while I digest their information and synthesize it into a dietary prescription. And so that's exactly what we did today. We had a guest on, and she was sharing all of her information with me. I took it in, I took notes, I basically built everything out, and she walks away from this call with a prescription, and I'm super excited for her because I believe it is 100% the right direction. So I thought this would be unique. If you enjoy it, please, please, please send us a DM. Let us know you enjoy it, because I believe we're going to try to do a couple of these every week. And if this is something that you would like to do yourself, send us a DM and we'll add you to the list. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, we are here the first time ever with Miss Whitney. I didn't even ask your last name. I apologize. What is your last name?
Urlacher.
Urlacher. Ooh, are you related to Brian Urlacher?
No.
No. Really famous football player. But guys, we are here with Miss Whitney Urlacher, and we are doing a diet breakdown. And so, one of the things that so many of our listeners they love, like whenever we talk about practical nutritional implementation. And my goal was, well, fuck it. If you love it, let's just do it for you. Because that's what we do. We like to give things away here. So she was one of the first people, actually the first person that reached out when I announced this opportunity, and we reward action takers. So here we are on this call, and we are just going to live break down what Miss Whitney is trying to do and give her some advice. And hopefully listening to this will help you as much as it will help Miss Whitney moving forward. So just to confirm for our audience, Whitney, we have not discussed anything regarding your diet, correct?
Nothing.
Okay, so I know nothing about you at this point other than I am looking at you on a Zoom call right now.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So give us a little bit about where you're at. Where are we currently today? Like, give us some physical statistics, and then give us what you're currently doing from a dietary perspective, and then give me the desired outcome.
Okay, so I am a small, petite girl. I'm 5'2",
Okay.
and I'm at my heaviest weight right now. So I'm at about 200 pounds.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been.
How old are you?
I am 29.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love lifting weights. I love being in the gym. Previous bodybuilding, have done previous fitness shows and things like that. So
Okay.
I'm not a stranger to the gym.
Which category did you compete in?
Bikini.
Bikini. Okay.
Yeah.
When was your last show?
2013.
Okay. So it's been a little bit.
It's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 years. Got it.
Yeah. So, basically just had some life stressors over the last few years, and my body just kind of blew up, aside from being very consistent with training and exercise. And yeah, so now I'm still in the gym, still doing my thing, and I'm just resistance to weight loss. So,
sure. Okay. So let's take a step back. When you say you're in the gym, what is it that you're doing in the gym?
Just general weight training. So,
Like how many days a week?
Four.
4 days a week. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say general weight training, we're talking like 60 minutes, just like body part split, upper lower split, full body
Yeah,
workouts. What
upper
are we
lower
doing?
split usually. So I do 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days,
Okay.
and then every once in a while, I just have kind of like a free day. So
Okay.
as long as I'm whatever I'm feeling like that day, whether it's just being an active walk or getting outside, whatever it might be, just something active. So just whatever
Cool.
it might be.
What about cardio?
Yeah. I don't really like cardio,
So
so
do you not do any currently?
I do a little bit. I probably do about 20 minutes each day.
Okay. So, and
So
are we talking like low intensity, like just like incline walk? Or are we talking like high intensity, like push
moderate
yourself
intensity.
okay.
Sometimes I'll do just 10 minutes of sprints
Okay.
just to kind of get it over with. The quicker, the better
Sure. No, I agree with you on
for
that.
me.
Okay. And all right, fantastic. And then tell me about your current diet. So we've got, because I got your training. Give me current diet.
So current diet is I'm at about 1,800 calories.
Okay.
I'm focusing on getting at least 130 grams of protein and then kind of just go from there. I try to just hit my protein
So
goal
you've
and
got, so basically every day you try to hit 130 protein, 1,800 calories.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you pretty consistent with that?
I could be a little bit more consistent.
Okay. So tell me more about the inconsistencies.
So I'm probably within plus or minus 5 grams for my macros.
So plus or minus 5 grams of the protein macro?
Yes.
Okay. So you're always at like 125 to 135 protein.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the inconsistencies? Like alcohol nights or cheat nights or like tell me about those things, because that's what I mean by inconsistencies, right? Because if I'm realistically looking at this and I'm like, all right, you're on 1,800 calories, like there's no reason you shouldn't be losing weight. So clearly 1,800 calories isn't the consistent factor. There's things that are taking us over on certain nights. So let's dig into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, just with my work schedule, it's pretty crazy. So for me, I think the inconsistency is like I'm going long periods of times where I'm so busy and I'm like forgetting
Mm-hmm.
to eat or, just take that moment to fuel my body. So I know that I should be doing that. So it could be, let's say my last meal will be noon and then it'll be 9, 10 o'clock at night by the
Okay.
time I
So
actually have time to
so I
sit
don't think the
down.
frequency is that big, but so like let's just use that as an example, right? So you have breakfast, then you have lunch, and then you don't eat again until 10 o'clock. What are you eating
Yeah,
at 10? Like you're so hungry at that point. Are we
I
pretty
do.
much going over on calories, or are we staying within our calories?
I I I feel like it's either for me just having something really quick and going to bed and not really thinking of it. So I
So
think a
maybe
lot of days
under on calories.
maybe under on some days,
Okay.
and then I don't really feel I don't know. I don't think I have any overindulgences
Okay.
like in that
So like
aspect.
full, because obviously there's never judgment in these scenarios, right? Because it's like we got to know like full facts. And so if somebody came to
Yeah.
me prior to me starting shredding season and they're like, "Hey, tell me about your diet," like I'd be embarrassed, but like the fact is like I was pretty much eating like burgers and pizza and Chipotle like nonstop, because I was in a very similar situation to you. Like I would eat lunch, I would get super busy here in the office, and then I'd go home and I'm hungry and I'm like, well, I need calories, so I might as well eat really high calorie dense foods. Probably me justifying things, but how many times per week would you say you find yourself in a similar scenario?
Probably 4 days
4 days where you're eating
where
maybe
I'm just
potentially over on calories, or where you're
like
super low?
where I'm probably super low.
Okay, got it. So realistically, like if we think, so we're targeting 1,800, but majority of 50% of the time we're under. You're probably averaging like 1,600 if we really had to average it out.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is all, again, like I don't have food logs. We're doing this on the fly, but we're probably closer to that 1,500, 1,600, right? Which is a bit excessive in terms of a deficit. Okay, fair. Would you say, so when you track only protein as the macro, do you eat more carbs or more fats?
My fats are about 65, 70 grams.
Okay,
That's usually kind of my goal there.
so that
But
would
I
leave
just I
carbs in
focus on
like the
getting my fiber
150s.
in. So I try to make sure I'm getting enough fiber. So
Okay.
as long as I'm getting lots of fruits and veggies and hitting that target, I don't really worry about the rest.
So then
Just
food quality is relatively high then. Like you're really emphasizing fiber and like
yep.
micronutrients. Okay, fantastic. I would say like higher percentage fats. I'm just making notes here. Lower percentage overall carbohydrate, but you are getting enough, which is great. Okay. Tell me about the diets you used for your bikini competitions.
So back when I knew nothing, I just kind of hired a coach and just decided I wanted to do this thing on my bucket list. Um, I, yeah, it
I'm
was bad.
deathly
It was
afraid of
pretty,
what's coming.
it was really bad. My first show was okay.
Yeah.
And then at about 8 weeks out, just my body stopped responding and we were just cutting calories. Like I was doing like an hour and a half of weight training plus 75 minutes of cardio a day. And I think, for lunch, I was having like 100 grams of chicken and like 9 almonds because
Oh
they
my
like
goodness.
gave me keto and from 8 weeks out. And I was
Well,
crazy.
they gave
So
you they gave you
that
a
was
high
pretty
protein, low
brutal.
fat. Yeah, that's insane.
It was crazy. Yeah. And I stayed with them in an off season. And through that off season, like looking back, it was not a lot of food. I was in the gym 7 days a week. I was terrified of gaining that weight back. And just not having the proper tools and knowledge to support my body.
Yeah.
And then from there, yeah, I wasn't able to diet for
Great.
another show.
Got it. Yeah,
So
no, for sure. And like physically or mentally or both?
both.
Yeah,
Both definitely. There's a lot of like a disordered eating that would kind of come with that. The
absolutely.
guilt and shame when you would fall off track. I would get like one cheat meal a week. So, when you have that cheat meal, it really plays on
That
your
cheat meal
brain,
turns,
right?
yeah,
So,
which is really good education, by the way, because I've been very big on saying that I think that cheat meals are far more psychological than they are. I mean, there's definitely benefits to overfeeding, once a week, but there's a diet out there that emphasizes a cheat day, and I did that diet for quite some time, and it led to very bad relationships with food for myself. It just brought about my former eating disorder as well. So okay, got it. So that definitely tells us a lot, right? Because that's the start point of all of this. Like when you say like here I am today, I'm at my heaviest, and I kind of don't know why. Like it definitely dates back to that. Knowing what you know now, like there's likely some metabolic adaptations that occurred. There's likely some HPA axis issues that are there.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you
for
say
sure.
like today, like the way you live, like you say stress is at an all-time high. So let's quickly dig into like talk about biofeedback for me currently. Like how is your stress throughout the day? How many steps are you getting? Like are you sedentary? Are you moving? How's your sleep quality? How's your mood? How's your sex drive? Like talk to me about some of those things.
Well, I've kind of been dealing with a bunch of issues for the last few years. I am almost at the end of my divorce.
Okay.
So the last year has been a bit of a roller coaster with stress and just dealing with that. And then prior to that, the last 3 years before that was just in a very emotionally abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So the stress was extremely high. And then and sought out multiple
All
doctors for
right,
my body.
everything
Kind of
just kind of went crazy. So for the podcast,
it's
I'm
just
I'm really sorry for
yes.
that. So I'm gonna just kind of take you back, 5 seconds, and so you said you were in an emotionally abusive relationship for those 3 years, and then it kind of cut out. So fill me in as to what you said.
Okay, so I looked for help with whatever I could, whether it was just a naturopaths, multiple doctors that I've seen trying to figure out what was going on with my body. And of course I got, oh, it's your thyroid and it's your hormones and all sorts of different things. So I'm just like, I don't know
Yeah,
where to start at
yeah,
this point. Like coming in this podcast with you, I'm kind of at a point where like, I don't fucking know. Like I
yeah,
don't know what to do from
for
this
sure,
point.
for sure.
Everybody has a different scenario. So as far as how I'm feeling right now, definitely a lot better than I was a year ago. Sleep's a lot better.
When you say sleep is
Definitely,
better, how much sleep are we getting per night?
I'm getting a solid 7 hours now,
Okay, and you're actually sleeping through the night.
and I'm actually sleeping through the
Okay,
night.
and when you say I'm getting
So
that now, when did that start?
6 months ago,
Okay, so just in like the last 6 months, we're getting quality sleep. And so we're
yeah,
talking there's probably been 4 to 5 years of non-quality sleep. Got
yes,
it. Okay.
yep. And yeah, as far as I'm feeling, energy's pretty good. Again, about in the last 4 to 6 months, I'm finally starting to feel a little bit more normal.
Okay. Fantastic.
And yeah, I don't know.
Awesome. And then tell me about like your mood throughout the day, libido, things like that.
Mood throughout the day is pretty good.
Okay. How about
Obviously, when I
like
don't have,
your ability to focus as well?
if I had to rate it, probably like a 7 out of 10
Okay,
most days.
got it.
So,
All right, and then sex drive.
nil,
Nothing.
next
Okay.
to none.
Okay. All right. So like I'm gonna just recap everything we've talked about and all the notes I took. And so one for you, two for the podcast. So number one, like where you're at right now, 5'2", 29, around 200 pounds, former bikini competitor. Last show was 2013. You're currently training 4 days a week, upper lower split. 20 minutes of cardio every now and then, moderate intensity, sometimes one like high intensity session at 10 minutes. Desired current intake is 1,800 calories with 130 grams of protein. The rest of the macros mixed, higher quality foods, hitting your fiber goal. The truth of the matter is we're probably getting somewhere 1,500 to 1,600 calories, still hitting protein, still hitting fiber. Big events in your life. Obviously, the bikini diet was completely shit. It destroyed you. You're you're finally getting through a divorce. You spent the better part of 3 years in a mutually abusive relationship. You've had quality sleep for the last 6 months, but prior to that, several years of non-quality, non-adequate quantity sleep. Your energy is finally good. Your focus is about average, and no sex drive whatsoever. Okay, so that tells us a lot of things, right? Because the truth of the matter is, we could look at you physically and be like, oh, well, your energy is good and your focus is okay and you're able to train and there's no injuries, and be like, oh, like metabolism is great. But clearly we know metabolic rate relative to hormonal function has been just completely shot, right? And that's what we're doing. So when we're looking at your prescription, the immediate goal is for you to get to homeostasis, because clearly you're still dealing with effects, right? And so because your body has created adaptations to every single thing you've been through, it is going to continue to fight creating change, right? Because remember, right now, there's no baseline. Your body's like, I've been fucked for like 6 years, basically, right? Like that's how your body is perceiving it. It's like, I've been under attack for the better part of 6 years. And after 6 years, it's like, well, now you want me to fucking lose fat? Which, by the way, remember, our bodies are meant to survive. Fat loss is an adaptation to living in a deficit, right? So we intentionally impose a caloric deficit. When we're in that deficit, it teaches our body to oxidize fat as fuel, and that's ultimately how we facilitate fat loss. Well, your body's not going to do that, because it's like, well, I need all the insulation and the protection around the shitstorm that it's inevitably coming, because you've taught your body for the better part of 6 or 7 years that there's a shitstorm coming every single day, right?
Absolutely.
We have to basically retrain the body to get it to understand, okay, there's not a shitstorm coming today. There's not a shitstorm coming tomorrow. If I lose fat, it's going to be okay. And so I would actually say, like, the immediate goal of fat loss is not immediate goal, right? And so when we look at it from a periodized schedule, we talk a lot about season, postseason, off-season, preseason. You are where I believe is postseason, right? And so postseason is a return to homeostasis. Once we get you there, we can make any physical changes you would desire before we diet you down, or we can just have a super quick off season, let you enjoy yourself for like a week or two, get you ready for the mental and physical rigors of the diet that is to come, and then actually undertake a diet. But right now, until we facilitate this recovery, we're not going to be able to get there, okay? So what that tells me is right now we're clearly below maintenance calories at 1,800. We could realistically say, and this is super off the top of my head. Again, we're on the podcast. I don't have any of my like charts or tools with me, but like maintenance calories, probably 24 to 2,600, right? So our goal would be to get you 24, 26, 27, 2,800 calories without gaining weight, okay? Not necessarily focus on losing weight, but without gaining weight. Now, inside of that, I also want to see things like your sex drive come up. I want to see your ability to sleep continue to get better. I want to see you get performance focused in the gym. So not meaning like glycolytic, like CrossFit, but I want you to focus on like getting stronger, getting, performing a little bit better, being able to do a few more reps, because again, we're looking to create change in the gym, right? I don't just want you going through the motions, because if you just go through the motions, your body adapts to that. There's no real stimulus to change. And if we're not challenging it, we're not facilitating change. Okay. So that's what we're going to work on right now. So given that you're actually averaging 1,500 to 1,600 calories, I think that a prescription every day of around 1,800 calories is super sufficient, with one day where we strategically overfeed you up to like 2,100 calories. Okay. And so this will be like one day, probably on a Monday, give you a little bit of extra energy to start your week, gets you kind of through the week. And we can always play with that day. inside of that 1,800 calories, I'm going to want to bring your dietary protein up. So the one thing is we definitely want to support your lean tissue. Do you happen to know what your stage weight was when you competed in bikini?
108.
Okay, so we can say like 140 to 145 on protein right now.
Okay.
If we got like what if I could snap my fingers tomorrow and be like, hey, here's your body weight. This is what you're gonna walk around at, and you're comfortable there. What would that number be?
135.
135. Okay, so
Yeah.
so your protein's not terrible. I like to err a little bit on the high side, especially in a fat loss phase. So 100, I'd say like 140, 145 grams of protein is sufficient. Okay, then I'm gonna want to keep your fats at about 30% of total calories.
Okay.
And then we're just going to fill in the rest with carbohydrate. And so I don't have a calculator or anything, so I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. But it's a relatively simple way, right? So 145 grams of protein. So Teddy, do you have – okay. Teddy just gave me a calculator. So if we did 1,800 calories, 30% of that is 60 grams of fat, okay? And we're going to have 145 protein, 60 fats. So 145 times 4 is going to give us 580 calories. Plus we have 540 calories from fats. So we've allocated 1,120 calories of the 1,800. That leaves us with 680 calories remaining. We're going to divide that by 4. That gives us 170 grams of carbs. Okay, so your initial prescription will be 145 grams of protein, 170 carbs, 60 grams of fat. Now we're going to take, like I said, we're going to overfeed you to 2,100, and we're going to keep that relatively the same, except we want you getting more carbs and fats on those days. All right, so I'm going to drop your protein down to 135 grams of protein times 4. We're going to keep the fat percentage the same, so 2,100. 30% of that actually puts you at 70 grams of fat. Okay, so now we've allocated 540 calories from proteins. We've allocated 630 calories from fats, and that leaves us with 930 calories remaining, or 230 grams of carbohydrate. Okay, so Mondays are going to be fun days, because you're going to have 135 grams of protein, 230 carbs, and 70 grams of fat, okay? So the real feedback we're looking for is, how does Monday compare to the rest of the week? What happens? Do we feel better right afterwards? Do we sleep better? Does sex drive temporarily come up? Is energy increased in the gym? Do you sweat a little more? Right? We're just going to look at all the feedback around that. And then our goal is to get you to maintenance calories. Priority number 1. So even though the desired outcome is fat loss does not occur without creating homeostasis first, because your body has not been to a homeostatic balance in 6+ years, right? And so we have to recreate homeostasis. We have to teach the body that it's not under attack. And that's priority number 1. Once we've done that, facilitating fat loss will be very simple. Does that make sense to you?
It does, absolutely.
And so all the doctors are only looking at your current need state, right? They're only looking at where you're currently at, the symptoms you present today. And this is one of the biggest things I see missing in the dietary world, is we're not looking 4, 5, 6 years back. Yet all the problems we're seeing today stem from what happened 6 years ago. And so we just have to go back, account for them. We have to, effectively erase that damage, rebuild a new foundation. But when you have a solid foundation, you can build a big house on top of it. And that's really what we're after.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So you have your prescriptions. I would love for you to implement that. And obviously you're more than welcome to ask questions. And whatever it is that you need, but that's absolutely the starting point. That's absolutely the vision. Like you said, we work on a periodized model. So that would be, what we would call phase 1. Phase 1 is get you to homeostasis. Once we're at homeostasis, phase 2 is prime you for a diet. Phase 3 is put you in an active calorie deficit, and put you in a deficit that's going to allow you to maintain this rebuilt hormone profile and this rebuilt homeostatic balance. And then, phase 4 is finding maintenance once we've achieved weight loss. So there is a lot of phases to this approach. It's not just a myopic, like, oh, here's your 12-week fat loss plan. There is a long-term vision. But we like people to be successful for years and years and years. years, not just 12 weeks. And so that's why we kind of take a step back and build this approach.
Awesome. I like it.
Does it make
Sounds
sense to
good.
you? Do you have any questions for me?
I don't, as
Okay.
of right now. It definitely makes sense. There's a bigger picture here.
Yes,
So
there has to be.
yeah,
And because you want long-term success. You don't just want success today. So
absolutely.
amazing. Well, thank you for being our first just guinea pig and being willing to come in and do this. I hope you got a lot out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It
Oh my
was,
goodness. Yeah, you're so
I was
welcome.
so very excited. I was so excited. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
great.
so cool. Amazing. All right. Well, guys, we will talk to you the next time we do this.